When you start waking up spiritually, something inside you begins to reject the noise. It's subtle at first, a quiet discomfort with how loud life feels. The endless scrolling, the constant wanting, the pressure to prove all start to lose their grip on you. You don't feel drawn to things the same way anymore. You used to think success was about accumulation, about adding more to your plate, your closet, your schedule. But now it feels like the real success is subtraction. This shift is the first whisper of higher consciousness, when you realize happiness was never hiding in the next purchase, the next goal, or the next validation. You're not becoming dull or detached, you're awakening to clarity. It's like waking up from a dream where you were always running, only to discover that peace was waiting in stillness. But that realization comes with confusion, because society doesn't teach stillness, it teaches stimulation. It convinces you that slowing down is falling behind, that silence is emptiness, that simplicity is lack. Yet deep down, you begin to sense that the opposite is true. The more you strip away, the more alive you feel. The less you chase, the more energy you have. You start to notice that what you really crave isn't more stuff, it's more space. Space to breathe, to think, to exist without constantly reacting. That's the minimalist side of spiritual awakening. When your soul starts decluttering what your mind has been hoarding for years, you begin to let go of the identities you built for validation. The people pleaser, the overachiever, the perfectionist, all start to fade. You're not interested in playing roles anymore. You want authenticity, not approval, and that craving for truth begins to reflect in your environment. You open your closet and realize half of what's there doesn't represent who you are anymore. You scroll through social media and feel nothing but noise. You step back from conversations that used to excite you because they now feel shallow. You're not becoming antisocial, you're becoming selective. Selective with your time, your energy, your attention. You realize that your energy is your real currency, and you no longer spend it carelessly. Every interaction now has to align with peace, not performance. The beauty of minimalism is that it doesn't only clear your surroundings, it clears your mental fog. It gives you back your focus. You start noticing how much of your anxiety came from excess. Too many options, too many distractions, too many comparisons. You begin to understand that simplicity is not the absence of ambition, it's the presence of purpose. When you awaken, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop asking, what do I need to get, and start asking, what do I need to release? And that question begins to rebuild your entire life. You may notice that your relationships shift. You're no longer drawn to people who drain you. You don't feel guilty for choosing solitude. You'd rather have one honest friend than a crowd that doesn't understand your silence. You start realizing that quiet doesn't mean loneliness. It means alignment. It's where your intuition finally becomes louder than the outside world. The minimalist side of awakening isn't about empty rooms or plain walls. It's about removing everything that keeps you disconnected from your inner peace. You no longer chase things for how they look. You choose them for how they feel. You buy less, but what you do buy adds genuine value. You speak less, but your words now carry weight. You plan less, but everything you do feels aligned. You're no longer addicted to more, you're addicted to meaning. And that's what separates an awakened mind from a restless one. In this new awareness, you stop seeing life as a competition. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You realize there's no rush, because nothing real can be taken from you. The pressure to keep up dissolves. The need to impress fades. You finally understand that peace doesn't come when life gets perfect. It comes when you stop needing it to be. That realization is freedom. The deeper your awakening goes, the more you crave the essentials. Not just minimalism in things, but minimalism in thoughts. You simplify your inner dialogue. You stop replaying regrets and rehearsing worries. You begin to see that overthinking is just mental clutter. The same way your old possessions once cluttered your room. You clear it, and suddenly you can breathe again. You see how silence starts speaking to you, how stillness starts healing you. You begin to find joy in ordinary moments, a quiet morning, a clean space, a deep breath. Those small things feel sacred because they're real. That's the secret nobody tells you about spiritual awakening. It's not about escaping life, it's about fully experiencing it with less noise. You see beauty in simplicity. You realize that having less doesn't mean lacking, it means having room for what actually matters. The minimalist path also changes your definition of success. You stop measuring your worth by productivity or possessions. You start measuring it by peace of mind. You no longer crave the applause, you crave alignment. You no longer seek attention, you seek understanding. The higher your consciousness rises, the less you want to prove. You begin to see that everything you were trying to find in the world was actually waiting inside you all along. That's the real luxury, inner calm in a loud world. But let's be honest, it's not always easy. There are moments you'll question whether you're doing life wrong. People might not understand why you're less social, less interested in gossip, less hungry for fame. They might think you've lost your spark, but you haven't. You've just redirected it inward. You're no longer fueled by external approval. You're powered by internal peace. And that kind of energy doesn't need to shout. It simply radiates. Over time, you'll notice that your minimalist mindset creates a ripple effect. Your surroundings become calmer, your decisions simpler, your intuition sharper. You stop living by default and start living by design. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer collect, you create. You no longer escape, you exist. That's what true spiritual growth looks like. The world around you may still move fast, but you begin to move differently, slower, clearer, deeper. You walk through chaos without absorbing it. You face uncertainty without losing yourself in it. You start realizing that minimalism is not the end goal. It's the path that clears the noise so you can finally hear your own soul. And that's where the magic happens. The more space you create, the more clarity you gain. The more you let go, the lighter you feel. The lighter you feel, the higher you rise. This isn't just about living with fewer things. It's about thinking with fewer limits. You don't need to escape to the mountains or sell everything you own. You just need to simplify what complicates your peace. You can be surrounded by abundance and still live minimally, because minimalism isn't about less stuff. It's about less attachment. When you detach, you gain control. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop performing, you start being. And being, fully, freely, consciously, is the most powerful expression of awakening. So if you're in that stage where you're letting go of old desires, losing interest in superficial things, or craving quiet while the world chases chaos, trust it. You're not falling behind, you're evolving beyond. You're stepping into a deeper form of living, one that values essence over excess. You're learning to listen more than you talk, feel more than you consume, and be more than you appear. That's the minimalist side of awakening. It's the art of living lightly, loving deeply, and existing truthfully. It's when you stop decorating your life to impress others and start designing it to express yourself. And the irony is, once you reach that place, you finally feel full. Not because you have everything, but because you need nothing. That's real abundance. That's freedom. If this connected with you, thank you for watching until the end. Like and subscribe to join a space where we grow not by adding more, but by becoming more of who we truly are.